Hey, what's going on, guys? The Horror Man back with my ranking of all 7 movies in the Exorcist franchise. Before I get into my ranking, does anybody remember when these massive special editions were released by Warner Brothers? I always forget I own this, but boy is it a beauty. In this video, I will be ranking all 7 movies in the Exorcist franchise. That's right, there are 7 of them. If you've kept up with Franchise Frenzy this year, or you saw a certain Seldom Seen series video Jason and I uploaded earlier this year, then you'll know why there are 7. Like with all of my other rankings, I will start with my least favorites and work my way to my favorite Exorcist film. Jason will also be ranking these 7 movies, so please be sure to check out his video to see how his ranking compares to mine. Remember, I base my decisions on criteria such as nostalgia, rewatchability, and overall enjoyment. It's always important to note this is just my opinion, and you don't have to agree, or even understand. So, here we go. This is The Exorcist Ranked. Coming in dead last, or 7th place in this series, is Dominion, prequel to The Exorcist, the 6th film in the franchise. Dominion is one of the 2 prequels to The Exorcist. This one was directed by Paul Schrader. It's the slower of the 2 prequels, which is why I have this one ranked below the other. But you might remember Jason and I did cover both of them during a controversial view. Please be sure to refer back to that video for more insight. I'm just not a fan of Dominion, and I likely won't ever watch it again. It's in last place in my Exorcist ranking. In 6th place, which is second to last in this video, I have the other prequel to The Exorcist, Exorcist: The Beginning. This one was directed by Renny Harlin. And while it is a bit more exciting than Dominion, I'm still not really a fan. What it really comes down to, if I had to choose between watching Exorcist: The Beginning or Dominion, prequel to The Exorcist, I would choose The Beginning. I wouldn't be thrilled about watching either one, but that would be my choice. I'm not trying to be negative. Truthfully, I probably will give both prequels another chance at some point down the line, a long time from now, in the future. But for now, Exorcist: The Beginning is at number 6. Coming in at number 5, and actually I really do like this one, Exorcist II: The Heretic. This sequel received one of the very first positive spins Jason and I ever gave. In fact, I believe it was only our second positive spin video. This movie is not nearly as bad as many people try to make it out to be. I love that Linda Blair reprises her role as Reagan, and she's fantastic in this. There is some genuinely scary stuff in this sequel, and I still love what John Boorman said. The movie was just too good for people. And by that, he meant there was too much good in the film, as opposed to evil like in the original. Despite the hate this one receives, I enjoy Exorcist II, and it's in 5th place in my ranking. Here comes the shock for some of you. In 4th place, I have the original, The Exorcist. Listen, it's a horror classic. I'm not denying that. And I'd even say I do love the film. But I've always said, I think it has some pacing issues. I wouldn't say it's too slow, but there are parts here and there that could have been trimmed. Just a bit. Would I call it overrated? I don't know. Possibly. Maybe not. It's difficult to say, because I obviously understand the impact this movie had on horror cinema. At the same time, I don't love it nearly as much as many others do. And I'm glad they do. I just don't feel the same way. This is, of course, my ranking, though, and it's my opinion. So the original, The Exorcist, is at number 4. At number 3, I have The Exorcist 3, which only a year ago would have been number 1 for me. I love this sequel, regardless of which cut of the film I watch. Both are included on this Scream Factory Collector's Edition. The moment depicted right here on the cover is still, in my opinion, one of the greatest jump scare scenes in horror history. I know others agree with that as well, and I'm glad because for a long time, this movie did not get the credit it deserved. Over time, though, The Exorcist 3 has seemed to gain a cult following. I definitely get it. Like I said, this was my favorite Exorcist film for most of my life. But then, over the past year, I watched 2 other movies in the franchise I had never seen. Ever since, those 2 have overtaken The Exorcist 3, putting it in 3rd place. And one of those 2 is The Ninth Configuration, which I have in 2nd place. The Ninth Configuration is technically the 3rd movie based on release date in the Exorcist franchise. It was written, produced, and directed by William Peter Blatty, who, of course, wrote the original. He wrote The Exorcist, and he wrote The Ninth Configuration as a sequel to The Exorcist. There are those who don't like to consider it part of the franchise, but I'll take the writer and director's word for it over some random fans. The viewers don't get to decide what's part of a franchise and what isn't. They can decide if they want to watch that particular movie, but I'll go with the writer. William Peter Blatty says The Ninth Configuration is a sequel, so The Ninth Configuration is a sequel. And if you actually pay attention while watching, you would see that it does in fact connect, and in an interesting way. I had never seen The Ninth Configuration until Jason and I watched it for Franchise Frenzy. Then we watched it again for our Seldom Seen series video, which I mentioned earlier. Then I watched it a 3rd time, just because I love it so much. I agree with what the Cincinnati Post said on the cover. The film is a masterpiece. And yes, this is a New World Video Betamax tape. Every time I discuss this movie, I show this Betamax edition instead of my DVD. I just love this cover art. Plus, you really don't see a whole lot of beta tapes shown in videos. As we all know, physical media matters, so I thought I would show it. For more of my thoughts on The Ninth Configuration, please refer back to that Seldom Seen series video. I discussed the film at greater length in that. The Ninth Configuration is fantastic, and I have it at number 2. In my ranking of the Exorcist franchise. Which means my number 1 favorite movie in the Exorcist franchise is The Exorcist Believer. I know some of you are probably shaking your heads and rolling your eyes right now, but again, this is just my opinion. I'm not asking you to agree. I personally love this movie, and along with The Ninth Configuration, it's one of the most rewatchable in the series for me. Obviously, it's the newest film in the franchise, having only been released last year, so it doesn't have that nostalgia factor. The fact of the matter is, it doesn't need it though. I love it that much. A lot of other people hate it, so we did give it a positive spin. To hear why I love The Exorcist Believer so much, please refer back to that video. I had never seen reviewers and self-proclaimed critics copy each other so much until this movie was released. Yes, they've done it in the past, but it was like they were following the same exact script. It was almost like they were reading word for word from the same sheet of paper. And some of what they said wasn't even accurate. I said this in my positive spin video. I truly think someone was in a rush to be the first to review the film, so he or she didn't even watch the movie, at least in its entirety. Then other people just repeated what that same reviewer said, sharing wrong information with viewers. I've used the analogy of everyone copying someone's homework or test answers, and that first person got them wrong. So now the entire class failed. That's what it was like watching early reviews for The Exorcist Believer. Regardless, I personally loved it, and I'm very disappointed we won't see the original plan for this trilogy play out. On the bright side, I'll always have this one to enjoy. The Exorcist Believer is my #1 favorite movie in the Exorcist franchise. So there you have it, guys. My ranking of all 7 movies in the Exorcist franchise. What do you think? How would you rank these films? Comment below and let me know. Don't forget to check out Jason's video as well to see how he has The Exorcist Ranked. Which franchise will we rank next? Check back soon to find out. Until then, remember, physical media matters. Thanks for watching, guys. Hit that thumbs up and be kind. Subscribe.